We would now like to start the press conference by Minister Kamikawa. Minister, the floor is yours. Thank you. I would like to take up 2 points this time. I'm deeply pained by the damages caused by the earthquake that occurred in the eastern part of Taiwan on the morning of the 3rd this month. I wish to offer my condolences to those who lost their lives and also offer my sympathy to the families. At the same time, I wish for the speedy recovery of those who were injured and also hope that there will be quick search and recovery of those who are still missing. Japan and Taiwan have supported each other as critical friends whenever we face difficulties, inclusive of the COVID pandemic. Also, at the time of the Noto Peninsula earthquake in the beginning of the year, we received heartfelt, overwhelming support from our friends from Taiwan. We're most grateful for those support. Now, with regard to the earthquake in Taiwan, we want to offer whatever support we can. So through the Japan-Taiwan Exchange Association, we intend to offer $1 million scale emergency grant aid to Taiwan. I hope that the support of the victims as well as quick recovery and rebuilding could be realized, and we will have to actually offer support in line with the requirements on the part of the Taiwanese friends.
The second initial statement. As for on April 8th, a new exhibition room of the diplomatic archives will be open to the public at Azabdai Hills. There will be held an opening ceremony at 4 o'clock today. Since appointed as the foreign minister, I promoted a diplomacy that can be understood and supported by people. For this, we must keep and pass on the records of Japan's diplomatic activities and provide opportunities to the people who can access those diplomatic documents. I hope that this new exhibition room will be a place that is accessible to as well as close to the public all the time. At the same time, let me express our intention to appropriately keep the diplomatic records and improve the environment which can provide to the people opportunities to make use of those documents. In line with this, the Foreign Ministry decided to transfer, in principle, the important administrative and policy documents to the diplomatic archives. As for FY 2023, 4 important policy documents on G7 Hiroshima Summit, Japan-Israeli and Japan-Palestine diplomacy, the Ukrainian situation, and the 50th anniversary of Japan-ASEAN relations will be transferred to the diplomatic archives for securely storing those documents. We will continue to pass on the important documents, which are our important national and common assets, to the future generations. We also continue to apply our past experiences to the future of diplomatic activities. And that concludes the initial statements.
We will now take your questions. When you're designated, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation. Ms. Horiguchi from Mainichi Shimbun, the floor is yours. Thank you, Horiguchi from Mainichi Shimbun. I have to ask about the Japan-China-Korea Trilateral Summit. I understand that Korea is now trying to host this meeting in May of this year. Can you give us an update about the Trilateral Summit? And also, this will be the first Trilateral Summit between Japan, China, and Korea since 2019. Can you talk about the significance of this meeting? Yes, thank you. As far as the scheduling of the Japan-China-South Korea Trilateral Summit is concerned, nothing has been decided. However, when we had the foreign minister meeting between Japan, China, and Korea last November, we agreed that we should accelerate work toward hosting of the summit at an appropriate time as soon as possible. I cannot talk about the details of this diplomatic exchange at this time. However, as far as Japan is concerned, we would like to offer our support to the President of South Korea of this initiative, and we would like to carry out coordination among the 3 parties, 3 countries, for the early hosting of the summit. And also, for the leaders of the three countries, Japan, China, and Korea, who hold such responsibility for maintaining regional peace and prosperity, to come together and to talk about the directionality of the trilateral cooperation, as well as talk about concrete cooperation, also to talk about regional challenges. I believe it's very meaningful. Thank you.
Next question, Nikkei Shimbun, Miki-san. My name is Miki. I would like to ask a question about Prime Minister's visit to the United States. He is going to visit the United States starting on the 8th. Does the Foreign Minister accompany him? And this is supposed to be the visit during the election campaign in the United States. What is the meaning and significance? The international community faces very complex and diverse issues. Under these circumstances, it is important to strengthen strong ties as well as the U.S. and Japan alliance. Under the international situation, the significance of the bilateral relations, including the economic front, there is a common understanding between the two countries, and this kind of recognition is gaining strength. Through the Prime Minister's visit to the United States, we have to improve the bilateral relations so that we can put in place and strengthen the rule of law-based free and open international order. This message has to be communicated internationally, and as a result, we have to use it as an opportunity to strengthen the bilateral relations. With regard to the possibility of my accompaniment, if the situation allows, I would like to accompany him. In order to bring the visit to a success, I will do my best in my own capacity.
Next question, IWJ, please. Thank you very much. My name is Hamamoto from IWJ. May I ask about the situation in Ukraine, please? Japan, over the past 2 years, have offered roughly 1.7 trillion yen worth of support to the Ukraine over the past 2 years. Now, it's been reported that Japan will be providing further 149.2 billion yen through the World Bank. As far as Russia is concerned, this will be seen to be a support to their enemy. Now, the tensions between Russia and U.S. is running. However, now the current Ukraine situation is now translating into a conflict between Ukraine and the conflict between Ukraine and Russia is now translating into a conflict between West and the Russia. And this Japan might be offering just financial support, but if the military tensions were to increase, then Japan could be involved in the war. Then, Minister Kamikawa, you mentioned that we really talk about the sanctions against Russia. Do you believe that? Are you prepared to see an all-out war involving Russia going forward? That's my question. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Since February 2022, Russia ignored all the encouragement of the various parties who sought peaceful solution and decided to make aggression into Ukraine based on the unilateral requirements such as demilitarization of Ukraine and also to neutralize Ukraine. This, I believe, is a reckless act that really undermines the very foundation of the international order, and this is a blatant violation of international law. And I would like to reiterate our strong condemnation to this act. As far as Japan is concerned, we believe that the security of Europe and the Atlantic and the security of Indo-Pacific cannot be separated. And based on the recognition that such unilateral efforts to change the status quo could take place anywhere around the world. So for the peace, stability of the global community as a whole, we've addressed this issue as our own issue. And also we've constantly taken the position of offering support to Ukraine and also to continue on with sanctions against Russia. And we believe our basic position and policy has not changed. We'd like to continue to work through the G7 as well as members of the Global South. We'll continue with our coordination with these countries. We hope that we'll be able to exercise leadership so that we'll be able to realize just and sustainable peace in Ukraine going forward. Thank you.
Next question, please. Kasahara-san of Kyodo News. Katsurada is my name. Now, a question about the Middle East. President Biden had telephone talks with the Prime Minister Netanyahu on the 4th with regard to demanding a ceasefire while protecting the civilians. What is your take on this? And as the host the chair of the UN Security Council for the month of March, you demanded an immediate ceasefire during Ramadan. What would be the best form of ceasefire with regard to Gaza Strip? With regard to the telephone conversation between President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu, the release of hostages, and the suspension of fighting on the front, as well as the improvement of the humanitarian activities. We strongly support the strenuous efforts by the United States. We truly hope this kind of direction will be achieved. We are going to continue a collaboration with the stakeholders as well as bilateral relations. And at the G7, we have continued efforts to achieve this goal. I truly hope that the humanitarian activities are going to be accepted and the humanitarian ceasefire will be achieved as soon as possible. I truly hope that all the parties involved should be demanded and requested and to stop fightings. On April 3rd, I had a conversation on the telephone with the Foreign Minister Katz of Israel, and once again I requested Israel to take these actions, including compliance with the international law, including international humanitarian law.
Mr. Azahari, please go ahead.
Khaldun Azhari, Pan Orient News. The Iranian embassy in Damascus was attacked by missiles in April 1st. Iran and Syria accused Israel of this attack, but Israel remained silent. In principle, does Japan believe that such missile attack at the embassy of a sovereign country should not be condemned because Israel is accused? And Japan has condemned Hamas tens of times since October 7th, but you never condemned Israel for its occupation and also for what is called the genocide against Palestinians that killed about 40,000 of Palestinians, civilians, mostly children and babies. Also, did Japan receive intelligence information from your allies who have missiles over Earth and can easily track missiles? Who has satellites over Earth and can easily track missiles as you do toward North Korean missiles, so providing detailed data about their trajectory course. Thank you.
As far as this matter is concerned, it is very difficult for us as a nation to have the fullest grasp of the facts concerned. So I would like to refrain from making a definitive assessment of the situation, if I may, at this juncture. But generally speaking, under international law, any attack on diplomatic missions for diplomatic course is not accepted. It's not acceptable. Japan continues to monitor the situation with great concern and great interest. Now, with regard to the information pertaining to the trajectory of the missiles, inclusive of this pertains to diplomatic exchange. I cannot disclose such diplomatic exchange. I appreciate your understanding. Thank you very much.
Next question, please. NHK Igarashi-san. This is Igarashi of NHK. Now, I would like to ask a question about the fundraising scandal. 39 MPs were the subject of the penalties, and Mr. Seko decided to leave in response to the advisory to leave the party. There is some dissatisfaction among the party members, and there is a demand asking for the responsibility. And I would like to ask for your take on this. As the foreign minister, I would like to refrain from making any comments on the decision made by the LDP, but as one of the politicians, I take this issue a serious thing. I truly believe that the domestic politics cannot be separated from diplomacy. Since I took this position, I have been repeating the following thing. It is important to put in place a diplomacy that is supported and understood and by the voters. And I would like to keep up this attitude.
Mr. Miyano from Chugoku Shimbun, please. Thank you, Ms. Miyano from Chugoku Shimbun newspaper. Thank you for this opportunity. I want to ask about the U.S. Senator, Republican Mr. Wahlberg, has referred to the situation in Palestinian, and he said that we should do it like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Now, Mr. Izumi, who is the head of the Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan, has stated that the Japanese government should make a strong protest to this issue. So what are your thoughts about the comment made by the Congressman, Mr. Wahlberg? And also, I understand the ministry could possibly be accompanying Prime Minister Kishida when he visits the United States. It seems that perhaps the atrocities of the atomic bomb is not yet accurately communicated. And how do you see the situation in the United States where such remarks about the atomic bomb could take place such casually? Any thoughts on this? Thank you. Yes, I understand the comments that you're referring to. We are aware of such comments. And I'm deeply concerned that this type of comment is being distributed through the media. Now, Congressman Mr. Wahlberg, in a statement issued on March 31st, said that he will never plead for usage of nuclear weapon as someone who lived through the childhood under Cold War. So I understand that he explained the intentions behind his comments in that manner. In any event, Japan is the only country that have experienced the atrocities of atomic bomb during the war. And the ravages of Hiroshima and Nagasaki through nuclear weapons should never be repeated. Based on that conviction, we're trying to realize a world without nuclear weapons. So we'll continue to cooperate with the United States, and we'll continue to accumulate various efforts that are practical as well as and realistic. And we hope that as many people as possible will visit Hiroshima and Nagasaki, inclusive of the Americans, and that they will experience the actual atrocities of the atomic bomb. And on this point, I would like to make sure that we'll continue to make this comment going forward. Thank you.
Please. Related question. Now, you express concern that dissemination by the media. Are you also concerned about the statement given by the congressman? Would you please elaborate on that once again?
No, made a reference to the distribution through the media. As far as the content of his comment is concerned, I believe in the statement issued on March 31st, he explained the intentions behind his comment. So I believe the congressman has already explained the intention behind his comments at that time. So that being the case, I believe I've already responded to your question. I would appreciate your understanding. Thank you.
Next question, Mainichi Shimbun, Moriguchi-san. Moriguchi of Mainichi. I have a question about Osaka Kansai Expo. Israel expressed official intention to participate in Osaka Kansai Expo, and Mr. Jimmy, minister in charge of Osaka Kansai Expo, expressed that it is not appropriate to treat the two countries in the same way. And by saying so, that he implied the acceptance of participation by Israel. There are a lot of sacrifices as a result of the military actions by Israel. Now, do you think it is appropriate for Israel to be part of this expo, which advocates saving lives as its motto? And first, with regard to the participation in the Expo, I think it is a matter that should be subject to the decision made by each government. For example, when it comes to the invasion into Ukraine by Israel, it's a gross violation of international law and the UN Charter. And then the Designing Future Society for Our Lives, which is the theme of the Osaka Kansai Expo. Therefore, it contradicts with this the theme. On the other hand, when it comes into the Israel military actions, which was triggered by terrorist attacks by Hamas, so it is difficult to treat this action equally with that made by Russia into Ukraine. And that concludes the press conference. Thank you.